Well, like usual, Dynamic hooked us up. We went down and got a whole bunch of stuff laser cut today, all the brackets we're gonna need. This little guy right here is our very front body mount, or one of the pieces for it. Then we have a larger one. I just have it kind of clamped up here, but that is our Firewall body mount. And if I would have given Dynamic the proper quantities of the parts we needed, we would have had them all. Now, as you can see here, we have two sides with a spacer block and then the top that the bushing is going to go through. That's what we want it to look like. What I didn't do was I didn't get enough of those little side plates that you can see there. So I'm one short for the front mount and the middle body mount. But what can you do? So we're gonna go ahead, I tack welded those all together here on the bench, and now we're gonna go ahead, get them ready to weld up on the frame. And I think I'm gonna lower this thing down tonight. It's not like it's gonna bend or do anything crazy like that. We'll get it down on the ground so we can actually take a look at what this thing is gonna sit like. And what we're gonna have to do is when we go back up to mount the bed, we'll come back forward and we'll weld in those two pieces that I forgot because I don't know, either I'm tired or overworked or, yeah, who knows. So, what I've done already here tonight is ground down this section of frame that we're going to be welding to, and now I'm just starting to mock up this guy. So as you can see here, it loops over top of the frame there. I got the radius to match so we can weld right around. Body mount goes in there. You're going to be able to come in on the end and tighten the nut, and the body mount has a little pin that slips through our mount here in the top. Now I am going to run into this little raised section here on the frame, so we're going to have to notch out that mount that I did make, and I knew that, but I didn't really want to mess with, you know, where that's going to be exactly to do it in CAD. We'll take a grinder and we'll kind of carve it out. And the same thing right here. You can see this little raised section here. So we're gonna do the same thing on the middle mount there. We'll just mark it with a Sharpie. We'll kind of grind it out with a flap wheel, and we'll just keep test fitting until we get something that's really close to be able to weld right over top. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're on to. Let's get rolling for tonight. Let's get this cab mounted, get this thing sitting on the floor, because we got a ton of other stuff in here we got to jump on, and that's gonna be the stopping point on this one for just a little bit. Well, we're back, imagine that. And we got some mounts. So that's what we're looking like. Comes up the frame across like that. And this hole right here is what goes up. Your bushing goes through that into the body. Now I know that the bushing and the little washer on the top equals 1 inch. That's one of those 1, 2, 3 blocks again. So being steel, I don't have to worry about melting that poly. Now, we are kind of stuck with this whole COVID crap, and we can't get bushings for another about 2 weeks, week and a half. So I have 4 actual bushings, 2 in the rear of the truck right now, and I'm gonna put the other 2 that I have in the front right here under the grill for the core support. Now, what I did here was the exact same thing. I put a little machine block that is 1 inch there. As you can see, I'm missing the front leg of this one, like I said, but it's welded in there now, and I have my 1 inch spacer. So now that that one's all cooled down, we're gonna go ahead and put the poly back in there since we don't need it to mock up the next mount back. And then with bolts through the front and bolts through the rear, we're gonna put this thing on the ground and see how well we did. Now, driver's side here still has the coil spring in it, so it's gonna sit at the proper ride height. Passenger side over here has no coil spring at all and no shock. So this thing should tuck up real far up in there, kind of like it would if we were aired out on the airbags. So we'll get the look at both sides. This side here that's aired out, that side there that's at like stock ride height. And yeah, the reason we're gonna put this thing down on the ground is, like I mentioned, let's run back here. We need to cut 3 feet out of the frame in this area here. So the way that the hoist is situated here in the shop, I do have a lot more room behind it than I do in front, and I don't want to have it cut the way that it sits. So what I want to do is take this thing off the hoist, spin it around 180 and back it back on the hoist. That'll make sure that I can get the area that I want to cut perfectly within these two arms so that when I do cut it, they don't fall down on each other, injuring me. So that's the plan. Let's go ahead, get those front mounts in, drop her down on the ground, and take our first look at what it's gonna look like. Well, it's on the ground and one corner is low. Let's take a peek. So there you go. As you can see, we are going to hit that lip. We're gonna tuck the top of that 22 on the fender lip like he wanted. And this side here is stock. That's the stock suspension with just the body lowered. So with this point here, again, he wants to get the lip inside, and we are definitely going to hit it. So that's awesome. So yeah, we're gonna get this thing pushed back onto the hoist again, and we'll get the arm set up so we can prep to cut the frame. I'm not gonna cut it tonight. I have a little trick I wanna do, so I'll show you what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. The rest of the night, I got some small other little junk I gotta do around here, blow some tires up and you know, that kind of stuff. So I think that's gonna be it for tonight on this thing, but that's awesome. It's on the ground. The body is mounted, and yeah, we're gonna make our goal. Hey. All right, so we're back. As you saw, we had the Fummins here down on the ground. Cab is mounted. Now it's time to start hacking and whacking. This thing needs almost 3 feet pulled out of the frame in this flat area right there. So we got to get prepared to do that. And how do we do it? Let's go over it. Okay, so we're taking 3 feet out of this thing, and we're gonna take it out of this flat section right here. It's kind of the easiest place to do it, so that's where we're gonna go. Now, what we need to do to prep for that is we need to start pulling this cross member here and this one here behind the cab. This one is gonna come way forward somewhere in this area, and we have that new rear one that we welded, and you can kind of see right just behind here. So we're not gonna need these two. First step is get those out of the way, and then we need to level the frame. We need to take some measurements. We need to do some chalk lines, and we're about ready to start whacking. So let's get the camera set up. We're going to use the big old Chicago Pneumatics air chisel here with our rivet cutter on it. I already cut one, as you can see, the other day. So we're gonna use that thing. I got my muffs on, and yeah, let's cut these things off and get this thing shortened up. So I think that's where we're gonna call it a night here on the video for the truck. Again, like I said, we got those cross members cut out. I have the frame marked how I wanna cut it. I just do not wanna cut it while I'm out here by myself. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning right now, and yeah, I don't feel like, you know, cutting it and being stuck underneath there and potentially having to go to the emergency room or something. So we're gonna wait until tomorrow night, and hopefully I get a set of hands over here that, you know, if nothing else, they're just there for moral support. But if this thing does come crashing down on my noggin, then hopefully they can help pull it off. Anyways, hopefully you guys will come back for the next video where we are cutting this truck in half and hopefully putting it back together, or hopefully the math all works out to where it does go back together the exact way we want it to. I guess now is the time we're gonna shout out a sponsor, right? Shout out to Dynamic Laser. Dan, thank you very much. Love you, buddy. You are killing it for me. Every time I need something, you're always there to hook me up. And hey, prices are great, service is amazing, and that's why we keep going back. So if you have something that you're gonna be making, maybe check out Dynamic Laser. He might be able to give you a hand, maybe save you some money too. So Shout out to Dan, and I think that's where we're gonna call this video. I'm kind of rambling and it's super late, so time for me to get in and get some sleep. Anywho, take care. We'll see you in 3 or 4 days. We'll get another video rocking, and yeah, get out in your shop and do stuff.